Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Welcome back. Seems like we spent the entire weekend together. For those of you who are with us for a disaster movie, and then a couple minutes after that for Life of Fighting, welcome back to the Sci-Fi Center Presents. This is the earlier than usual. Usually I get this done at 10:30, but I want to wrap it up earlier tonight because I'm hungry. And like I said, I want to wrap this up probably before 10:30 or 10:30 or so, because then it allows me to get some decent food without scrambling. So there you go. Now I don't have to hear about being denied Life of Fighting anymore.
Brad, doesn't mean I'm going to stop talking about it.
Brad got his movie, and this time didn't get rained out. So there we go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't mean we did our watch party of the Raid movies. Doesn't mean I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
Sure. All right.
And yeah, by the way, I tried. I mentioned during that watch party, I can't, because one thing I've been wanting to do with the watch parties is try to bring you through either connections I've made or just the general skill set or I've developed in my journalist life, to try to bring people who were involved with the stuff we do watch parties on the show, just for quick Q&As and things like that. And we did that with Liam O'Donnell for the Skyline ones. I contacted Bren. We just weren't able to make it happen because he had an event with his daughter. He was doing today, so it was very. He said he definitely would have jumped on if other than scheduling issues. But and he quote tweeted. I shared on the Twitter earlier, and he quote tweeted, was like, I hope everybody enjoyed it. And people were fan casting him on the panel for Batman and Punisher and Mortal Kombat characters, and everybody was pretty blown who hadn't seen it already.
Skip the Mortal Kombat ones, dude.
And everybody who hadn't seen the movie yet was pretty blown away by it. So I think it's he said, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I think it's safe to say everybody did, Bren. So
yeah, no more Mortal Kombat movies, guys.
Well, we're getting one more. We got two coming up. It's actually not going to be this year.
The last one did what? Spectacular? I don't know why we're doing. Let's see. Yeah, I'm tired of none of them have been any good. I mean, the last one had a really cool effect in it, but the movie was kind of sucked, and I haven't seen a good one yet since they've been doing these. So no more of those.
95 MK Legacy. Again, I actually have pretty high hopes for 2 because they said because the MK21, I classified as I liked it, but I wanted to love it. I like the beginning and the end. It's when it's on fire. It's absolutely fantastic at the beginning and the end. Then the middle section, it kind of gets iffy. So and they said, yeah, we heard what everybody said, feedback, both good and not so good. So they're really trying to implement that. So I have pretty high hopes for 2, and I struggled to keep it on.
and it was on HBO Max.
I'm a pretty big Mortal Kombat fan in general too, so that's why I'm old enough for that. But yeah, that's what it is. But maybe Bren, maybe for MK3.
No, I didn't like it, and it wasn't very good. But hey, you guys had fun with it. None of them. Like I said, it's been the franchise in motion pictures has been consistently bad since the first one. So it wasn't like I was in a state of shock when MJ21 came out and it wasn't very good.
William is
it
just
had some cool moments. No, it had some
William,
cool moments. Like the ice. There were some cool things. But it was like watching a wrestling match where all the guys can do is high spots. They can do that really shock move that's like, wow, look at this, look at this, look at this. And the movie spent itself having to outdo the last high spot with no real substance in between. But then again, that's what they're catering towards. So, I mean,
William is just making the whole franchise pay for the sins of Annihilation. And by the way, we're never going to watch Party of Annihilation.
None of them are good.
Before anybody gets any ideas, we're never going to watch Party of Annihilation.
I would doubt ever doing one for a normal Mortal Kombat, but even though it falls within the classifications, I'd rather watch a good movie from this point on, and none of those are. So no.
Williams just he just had his birthday, so he's having
I like good movies. That was not a good movie. And be honest with you, that was one of the ones that were like people were like, well, are they ever going to make a good video game movie? And then finally, we've had some, but unfortunately, those were not.
No, the best one is Street Fighter Assassin's Fist.
Official movie? Is there?
No, that's official. That's official.
That's official.
That's not. Well, it started as a fan film called Street Fighter Legacy, and then they got the green light to make an official one, and that was a Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. So that's not a fan. It began as a fan film. It was like a pitch, but that is officially sanctioned by Capcom.
That's not saying much if the fans who are not professional.
No, the guys who made it, they're in the business.
In the business at what level?
They've done Joey Ansa. He directed and he played Akuma. He's got something coming up actually with Frank Grillo called The Hounds of War. He was in the Bourne Ultimatum.
I can't even find it on the list. What's it called?
Street Fighter Assassin's Fist.
Oh, British TV series.
Yeah.
I'm talking movies. I'm strictly talking movies.
Well, it was released on YouTube. It was released as a series initially on YouTube, and it was eventually released on home media as a movie.
Okay, so but my criteria, a series is different, completely different ball game. I'm talking about actually theatrical release because, like I was saying, that's where your risk is. Your risk is in at the time that these movies are being released. Prior to 2020, that's where your risk reward was. That's where you got judged on whether you were getting another one. Because like I said, if we could go back in time and get the streaming numbers and the YouTube numbers for some of these movies, we probably have some better movies, but that wasn't the case. All right. I don't know how we got on that. Today was Star Trek 58th anniversary of the airing of Star Trek. It was on NBC. It was a Desi Loop production. 58 years. Wow. I just went to the 58th convention, or the 58th mission. It hasn't been 58 convention, but got to meet Captain Kirk, got William Shatner, the entire cast of everything that's ever been done, with the exception of George Takei, who doesn't show up at these things for some reason. I think it's because he has an issue with William Shatner. But everybody else was there. I mean, all the living people from Next Generation were there. I think everybody, I wasn't there, but I only went to one day because that was the day that I got my my picture with William Shatner. But it's weird because we're in a flux when it comes to Star Trek. Old Trek fan, they're still out there. They don't have quite the suffocating grip that they did in mid 2000s, but they're still out there. They're still prominent. They're still loud. So we still have a split fan base, but somehow with Star Trek, I would rather be dealing with what Star Trek is than what Star Wars is right now. That fan base and the people who run that franchise are reactionary to the point to where it's like friendly fire. But with Star Trek, there was an interesting article I'm going to bring up. Because right now the biggest talk, even at the convention when we went, was if we were ever going to get a Star Trek Legacy show. I hate this. By the way, lucky I like this concept and I enjoyed this crew. If you want to get me to not see whatever the fuck it is that you're selling or want me to watch or want me to look at, put the word legacy on it. That is the laziest, title. It's, I mean, in terms of generic title, just slap something on it. I'm okay for a working title. I'm okay for a working title, and once you get to the actual nuts and bolts and start making something, the working title goes away. Kind of like with Superman, it's no longer Superman Legacy. Thank goodness, it's just plain old Superman. But if you want to get me, if you, it's like Repellent, if you want William Repellent on your project, spray that word on it, and you'll get me to go the other way. But fortunately, I already know what this would be about, and I don't think Legacy would be the name, so we'll just use it as a working title. Picard seasons 1 and 2 sucked. I'll just put it plain like that. Picard's out of the 3 seasons, Picard's 1 and 2 were bad. Season 3 is some of the best stuff Star Trek's done in all the history I've ever seen. I mean, I haven't been around 58 years, but I've watched it all. And out of all the stuff I watched with Star Trek, season 3 of Picard is some of the best Star Trek on any level, on any platform. And the way Terry Matalas set it up is he set it up so that it left it open-ended for another Star Trek series that will be based on the newly christened Enterprise G, which had been the Titan throughout the show. You had 7 of 9 back. You had Beverly Crusher was back. Picard was back. You had the entire. You even you drug out Enterprise D and got the old sentimental. As hard as old Trek fan is, that softened old Trek fan. That had old Trek fan in tears. Me personally, I'm like, all right, that's cool, really cool. My moment is when they unveiled Enterprise G, and the guy who played Picard and Wesley Crusher's son was excellent. I want to see him again, and they even threw in Q in there. The guy who was in the first ever episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation looks like he's going to be launching this one. So I hope they get it done. But I read an article from Screen Rant, and let me give credit to I've been using a lot of their stuff lately. Let me
Is Andy again?
No, this is I wish I could tag these people. I wonder if there's a way you know that.
I probably still know a lot of other people there. So you scroll down a little bit.
Jen Watson.
Yeah, I never interacted with her, during my time at Screen Rant, unfortunately.
Okay.
I think she might have come in.
Jen Watson.
Since I left. Yeah.
I'll see if I can. I'll see if I can tag you because this is your article and it's one of the better ones I found to read off today. All right, and here's what they say. I'm doubtful that Star Trek Legacy will happen while one other show is going. This infuriated me because it sounded like some WB DC shit. And when I read it, almost exactly what it was. All right, by Jen Watson. I'll credit her in the description when I redo the article. I'm doubtful that Star Trek Legacy will actually happen, at least as long as one other particular Star Trek series is still airing. Like many other fans, I was excited for the perspective of new Trek series, Star Trek Picard Season 3 setup that would follow the adventures of Captain 7 of 9, Jerry Ryan, Commander Rafi Musker, Michelle Hurd. By the way, all these people were in Vegas. Ensign Jack Crusher, Ed Spielers, who's excellent in that role. Aboard the newly christened USS Enterprise G, Star Trek showrunner, Picard showrunner Terry Matalas, who's also there, proposed this title, Star Trek Legacy, and fan campaigns to get Legacy off the ground were started. But there has been no word from Paramount about Legacy actually happening. Instead, 2 new Star Trek series have been announced, and neither of them are Star Trek Legacy. First up is a 30-second series set Star Trek Starfleet Academy, starring Holly Hunter, Academy Award winner. That's so you can't go wrong. Another Academy Award nominee, Paul Giamatti, several legacy Star Trek characters, and a new crop of fresh faces for the Star Trek franchise. The new Starfleet Academy was coming for a while, so that wasn't much of a surprise. Paramount's slate at San Diego Comic-Con announcements also included a brand new, and I was here for this, untitled Star Trek live-action comedy by writers Tawny Newsome and Justin Simeon. Which I tried to get excited for that. Why would Star Trek Legacy remain so suspiciously absent when Paramount knows fans want it? All right, and Paramount Plus will only have one Star Trek show about the USS Enterprise at a time. Ugh. When you don't know if you're going to throw up or not, but because I can see that Paramount Plus will only have one Star Trek show about the USS Enterprise at a time, regardless of which Enterprise it is, as long as Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. So now they're pitting me against what could be my favorite Star Trek show at the moment. Is telling stories about Captain Christopher Mike's Anson Mount Starship Enterprise. Star Trek Legacy won't be recounting the voyages of the USS Enterprise G with Captain 709. This Star Trek Legacy would follow the classic format on Star Trek, the original series, and Star Trek First Generation, or Next Generation, which with episode self-contained stories exploring the galaxy in morality plays. All right, I'm going to slightly disagree with that because the entire length of the Next Generation's run from 1987 all the way through, they were making Star Trek movies. Just before Next Generation got went on the air in 1987, 1986, you had The Voyage Home, one of the better Star Trek movies ever. All right, and in 1989, you had Star Trek, The Final Frontier. Not the best movie, but it was there. And in 1991, you had Undiscovered Country. And then you wrapped it up with, Captain Kirk being in not my favorite Star Trek movie, but Star Trek Generations. So they were I understand it's not as concurrently had other stories being told in the Enterprise, which is what I guess you're saying is because it's not a series, so it's not the same. But we're also in a different era too. We're also in an era
William's kind of buffering here.
Where these shows
William, internet drunk. Yeah, William's kind of buffering right now.
All right, Strange You. Well, and I like her, and I like her in that role. But we'll carry.
You buffer like crazy for about 30 seconds there.
Oh, do I need to read back then? Hold on.
Yeah, you might want to read that back.
Where did I okay, hold on. All right. Instead of being considered replacements for Star Trek Legacy, Star Trek's new shows fill different niches at some. I don't know why I'm buffering too, because I'm on the good internet. Considered replacements for Star Trek Legacy's new shows fill a different niche that were recently canceled Trek series leave open. Lieutenant Beckett Mariners actress Tawny Newsom's Star Trek workplace sitcom. Right there, you lost me. Workplace sitcom will carry on Star Trek's Lower Decks comedy mission, which I didn't need. Star Trek Starfleet Academy is likely to pick up where Star Trek Discovery left off. I'm all right with that, but that doesn't preclude anything else from happening in my opinion. At 32nd century and can continue Discovery's tradition of pushing Star Trek's boundaries with an experimental storytelling. Strange New World and Legacy would have similar functions as flagship series for the Star Trek franchise, so it makes it sense to say something. I don't think so. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because, like I said, you're talking about two angles of the franchises that are popular and people like. People like Strange New World. They love Pike's hair. And you could tell just from the fan demand that people would like a Star Trek Legacy. I don't think you should wait on those things. You don't know what could happen that could prevent you from making these. The iron is hot right now. Star Trek Legacy in its as soon as that last episode hit, people were wanting it. I went to the Star Trek convention a few weeks back. There's a petition there, and it has an awful lot of names on it. So if it were these other shows you're experimenting with, and I'm okay with that. But while we're experimenting, why don't we just go ahead and make some things that we know are going to draw audiences? This is a business. All right. A possible 5 seasons for Strange New Worlds could open the door for Star Trek Legacy. So let's read this part. Star Trek Strange New World might be last for only 5 seasons. Now, I had said this before when people were mad about Discovery getting only getting the 5 seasons, and Lower Decks only getting 5 seasons. We're not in the network era where we're getting 22 and 26 episodes with a break, and everything starts in September and ends in May or June. We're getting 10 and 12 episodes of very, very, very expensive shows. And a lot of these guys are going on to other things in the interim. I think the streaming model for a successful show in most cases is going to be 5 seasons. So this is on par with what I thought when everybody was trying to, protest. And, if your streaming series gets 5 seasons, consider that a success. Stranger Things is one of the most successful streaming, things of all time. It's getting 5 seasons. So I think 5 seasons is a model. So I'm good there. At which point the door could be open for Star Trek Legacy to take the place of Star Trek's flagship series, because Star Trek Strange New World begins in 2259, and the first season of Star Trek, the original series, takes place in 2265. It might seem that there's a 5-year time limit on Strange New Worlds, but the timing of Star Trek Strange New Worlds is purposely ambiguous. Instead, the 5-year projection comes from the Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Lower Decks 5-year runs, which suggests a Star Trek series lasting 5 seasons might be the new franchise normal, which I'm okay with, as long as you're giving me Star Trek. All right, note. She has a note at the end of this. Star Trek Picard Season 3 showrunner Terry Matalas is attached to Disney Plus Vision series for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Vision series is likely to be just a single season, like most of the MCU TV shows, but it still ties up Matalas for some time before he could feasibly commit. That I do understand. Even if Star Trek Strange New Worlds ends with season 5, it's still another potential 3 to 5 years before Star Trek Legacy. That may feel like a long time, but it's nothing compared to the drop between the end of Star Trek Enterprise 2004 and Star Trek Discovery's 2017 premiere. You can blame old Trek fan for that. And we still have tons of new Trek to look at, look forward to. In the meantime, as my favorite of the new Star Trek series, I hate the idea of sacrificing Strange New Worlds to get Star Trek Legacy, but that might be how it has to be if there's only room for one USS Enterprise show at a time. All right, good article. Like I said, I will tag you and put you in the mentions like I should have done.
Well, I'll tell you after the show. So.
Okay. I need this one thing at a time shit to stop. We're hungry for Star Trek right now. We're hungry for good Trek. Strange New World is good Trek. From what I saw, what Star Trek Legacy would be, just based on Star Trek TV, that's good Trek. Some of the best they've ever done. Don't worry about that. Worry about giving me too much bad shit. Don't worry about the whole room for whatever crap. Worry about giving me bad stuff, because if you give me one bad show that I don't like, it doesn't matter what the frequency is. I just don't like it. But if you have 2 things like that, you have the actors and actresses are ready, they want to do it, then let's get it done. Let's get it done. Now, if there's budgetary concerns and things like that, I can understand it. But here's the thing. I mean, you got Section 31 coming out. Star Trek Academy, I if you do it at some point, I don't say don't do it. I don't think it needs to be a priority. I don't think this thing that Tawny Newton's doing, with all due respect to her, needs to be a priority. And if it was, I mean, hey, that all changed when Picard Season 3 became what it became. You need to readjust. Don't wait 3, 5, 6, 7 years down the line when the iron is cold. Do it now. Do it now. Nobody is going to assail you if you say, oh, we're not doing the Academy. oh, we're not doing whatever this workplace comedy thing, which just no, we're not doing that. We're going to do this because this is what you guys wanted. This is where the momentum is, and that's what we're going to do. Nobody is going to be protesting any of that stuff because they've never seen it, and they weren't really thinking about it before you put it in front of them. They were thinking about this though. So, all right, let's hit chat. What do you guys think about Star Trek? Also, not just that. What do you guys think about Star Trek in general? What are you a fan, or have you been a fan? How long have you been a fan?
Okay, let's see what else you guys got. I was gonna ask Tekka. Yo, Brad, my friend, I owe you a big apology to scary movies. Oh, I owe a big apology. No, I don't. No, I don't. They are exactly as bad as I said. Disaster movie is worse, but scary movie is still terrible. Okay, and we are leaving it at that. How's it going, Antonio? No, we're closing the book on spoof movies, guys.
Nah, we're done. We're done with non-science fiction, horror, and fantasy. We're pretty much done for.
No, well, Rhea, or not Rhea. Aaron suggested something as far as like the good stuff I want to do as an idea. So I want to work with William on that. We'll see. Yeah, but spoof movie stuff.
Nah, we're gonna have to put the brand first. Now that we're getting
no more of that nonsense of the suffering through. And of course, William, was barely around for disaster movie. He used the excuse, well, I got customers. So it's like, well, I mean, it didn't stop you, on other things.
Dude, I can't control when all that happens.
No, I think we pulled this one up already. No, yeah. Carl Urban is Johnny Cage and MK2, which really is interesting to me because that kind of suggests to me they're going for maybe like a little bit more of like a Wolverine, kind of like gruff and rugged kind of approach to Johnny Cage as opposed to, so the pretty boy, cocky.
He can be a pretty boy.
Well, yeah, but when I think of him, when I think of a Carl Urban, I think Butcher, I think Dredd, I think
McCoy, I think Bones. Can't get any cleaner cut to that. Remember, he's an actor. He can become something else other than.
I don't know. I feel like that they're going for a little bit of reinvention with Johnny Cage on this one, and also, it's Aaron mentioned we're doing Life After Fighting. Also, Australia, is a location that Hollywood uses for blockbuster, and then both of the latest MK movies have been filmed in Australia. And Carl Urban, was he Australian or is he New Zealander? I think he's Australian.
He's Australian, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm kind of wondering. It's like, are they going to retcon Johnny to be Australian, or are they going to let him use his voice, or are they going to have him go with the Dredd voice? The interesting.
Like I said, he has a great American accent too.
Yeah. In fact, actually, maybe that's something that, suggest for watch parties. Dredd.
Somewhere down the line.
Yeah, especially because it has the same plot as The Raid. And I'm not kidding, by the way. It's like, no, really. William, I'm sure you saw that they ran into that, kind of that unfortunate trap of getting comparisons to The Raid when it came out.
Well, how do you compare? Not a lot of people knew about The Raid.
Well, enough knew about it. Definitely, well, people do know about The Raid, contrary to what William says. But aside from that, people
does the wide general audience know about it? Be honest. Does the wide and general?
I'm pulling up Wikipedia right now.
That's not the wide general audience. That's the internet.
I'm pulling this up right now. It's going to have section on. Well, it doesn't have a whole section on it, but okay. Yeah, trust me, people knew about the Raid compare, which is really ironic because actually Dredd, of the two of them, Dredd actually started filming first, and it came out later because it had visual effects that had added to it. The Raid.
Judge Dredd was a controversial comic book in the '80s, so there were people who knew about that. But even then,
well, he also not only that, but he also had one bad movie preceding this, which I think probably that you could probably attribute a lot of the unfortunate failure of Dredd to Judge Dredd 95 because people probably still there's still probably a perception that this was some kind of continuation from that.
I doubt it because they're so far away. You're talking about almost 20 years. You're talking about 18 years between the two. I don't think anybody was connecting anything.
Dredd is so. I love Dredd. Dredd is like that. That's the Judge Dredd movie that character deserves. That Dredd is like, but it is a reboot. It failed. Well, it failed in the theaters anyway. It has since accrued success on streaming and home media. And of course, there's still the make.
It's a reboot, but no lineage, though. So it's really not a reboot because nobody knew or had much regard for the first one. So it's not damn, you started over again? I'm
Well,
like,
yeah, well,
what
guys, nobody. Yeah, the first one was not beloved at all, and the first one, even that was also marketed more so as a Stallone movie.
yeah, because nobody knew. It's like Blade. Nobody knew the
Well,
titular character.
and that's not a bad thing either, because I mean, that's your safeguard when you're like adopting or adapting a
Well, yeah, it's
niche
your way not to
properties or
lose money.
characters. Is you get a big A-lister to portray the character, and that's like, okay, so you market it. Let you market Blade as Wesley Snipes chops up vampires, or you market Dredd as Stallone, carries the lawgiver, and
But if Blade would have had Wesley Snipes in it, and you just said, let's make Elroy the mobile vigilante, that movie probably does just the same, because that movie didn't make one dime off of the recognition of the character. It's just like Judge Dredd. Nobody knew the fuck Judge Dredd was in 1995, other than us nerds. I mean, it made the news. It made the news because the Fleetway would skirt around. They weren't comics code, and it was extremely violent, and it was one of the things that people used to say, "Hey, our kids should be reading this stuff." Judge Dredd was always what they would bring up, and then
we are already coming up on we are coming up on exactly now. It came out in September 2012, so we're coming up on just about 12 years now. That's so amazing to me. That's already been that long.
Yeah, and it did that movie. Don't look at that stat. They lost money on this movie.
Oh no! I was never suggesting they didn't lose money. In fact, actually, one of the producers, Adi Shankar, he's the guy who does like the bootleg, kind of stuff on YouTube about like his version of the Punisher or Power Rangers and things like that. He was a producer on it. He put out a video a while back where it was titled like what it would take to make a Dredd 2 or something like that. And it's actually very informative, not just for if you want to see a Dredd 2, but also just in general, like film finance and things like that. He
is New Zealand. I'm sorry, he is New Zealand.
Oh, Carl Urban? Oh, he's okay. So that's right next door to Australia. They have the same, very, very similar accent, but it is a different country.
Yeah, don't get Aaron riled up with her flag. Hi, Rhea. Yeah, you missed my birthday streams, but I already got your present because I got my bat signal sitting over there, so I'm happy. Thank you. Yeah, the Rams lost. I was watching. That's why the show got started late. I was watching the Rams lose.
I'm looking at the map. I'm looking at the map right now. New Zealand is actually further away from Australia than I thought.
Yeah, Erin was going to swim there. Remember, she was going to do the swim.
What? This is not like the English Channel. That's like an ocean you're swimming through if you're trying to do that.
Raider Nation. Did the Raiders win today? Did they play today, or is that tomorrow?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're like 3 hours apart. Okay. Let me walk that back, guys. It's like, this is like me, like, I'm not it's just a joke, guys. I'm not trying to say that, trying to blur.
Now we're gonna have New Zealand hate against the show. Good job, Brad.
I'm just making a one-liner about how this. Okay, it's me, the American, like, oh, it was me making a one-liner. I'm not saying there's no cultural or historical
there's quite a bit of
or accent difference. Okay.
It's actually closer to the South Pole. Actually, no, it's
it's
not far away.
Yeah, it is. Man, there is a. I'm gonna pull this up right now, actually, from a Wikipedia. This is the map showing where New Zealand is in relation to Australia. Look at that. See, yeah, it's actually it's like smack in the middle between.
Aaron, I don't think you could swim that. I don't think you could swim that, Aaron.
When did she say? Well, okay. When did she say she was going to do that? And why does anybody think she was serious? Because you're not going to swim that.
Aaron is going
to. That is what? That is at least 1,000 miles.
I mean, she's not going to swim. I mean, she'll have to get in the boat a little bit, and then
But yeah, look, you're right. You're right. Look how close it is to Antarctica.
To the top of the pole.
Yeah. Do they get snow in New Zealand?
I'd have to look it up, but
oh yeah, we already got our other resident Australian now saying I'm racist.
I wonder if Joga can swim there.
Yeah, really look at that. It's like,
are you making fun of AEW? Dude, I listen. If you don't like AEW, you just don't like it. But in that pay per view last night was a bit disturbing, but it was a good pay per view. The team from the state of California. Well, now, dude, the Raiders have fans everywhere. The Raiders pack the house. The Raiders have 3 generations. They have fans from Oakland that never left them when they came to LA. They have a huge contingent from LA, and now they have Vegas, and they all come to the stadium. So they should not even call them the Vegas Raiders anymore. They should just call them the Western Regional Raiders or something.
You
Because
guys are gonna get like you guys are gonna turn against me now. You're gonna turn my long lost sister against me, Aaron. I'm not trying to cast aspersions to Australia. I was just making a joke, okay?
Aaron and Brad just doesn't see the difference between New Zealanders and he just says you guys are all the same.
Okay, we get here. We get to told all the time that Canadians sound exactly like Americans. Okay, so
yeah, see that general, didn't see that stereotype? You poor Aussies, except for Droga. Fuck them. No, I'm just kidding. Droga's like, we're nothing like the New Zealanders.
Okay,
but it's a pretty small island. Americans these days. Wow.
Oh, really though? It's like yeah, it was closer, right? Because it was closer to Antarctica. I'm actually looking it up right now on Wikipedia.
But the accents are there. There's more Polynesian influence, I guess, over in New Zealand than there is in Australia. But it's pretty small.
Comparatively, because Australia is a continent.
Australia is a continent. It's massive, so
it's the size of America.
All the damn kangaroos. Where is my kangaroo? She sleeping?
Well, she did, 2 watch parties with us today, so
you could have skipped one of those, but yeah.
Yeah, skip disaster movie and go to the one that we mutually agree is awesome. Okay.
Yeah, because it only lasted that was an hour.
Well, the last of you mean Life After Fighting?
No, that was 2 hours and 5 minutes. I was
yeah.
watching that.
Disaster. That's the other thing about the spoof. One of the few things I will say complimentary about these spoof movies is that they tend to be very short. And they tend to pad out the runtime with like outtakes and shit like that.
Yeah, and then the blooper reel. Hey, small victories, Vince, man. Take those small victories. Why do I care? And I'm just kidding.
75 to 80% lives on the East Coast. Well, yeah, because you've got Australia's got it's kind of like China. It's got a very diverse kind of topography and climate. You got the outback. It's just thousands of miles of desert. So,
where's Tasmania? What's that? Is that the same thing? And the first time I ever heard Tasmania was
come to Tasmania. Come to Tasmania. We meet.
No, the Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah, that's the Tasmanian. That's his theme song.
Oh, I never knew he had one.
No, that's no.
When I watched him as a kid, he just spun around in circles.
Well, yeah, but you also know him for his incoherent. That's what he sounds like.
That's pretty much what he is, and that's Mel Blanc, by the way. Tasmania, where are they at? Oh, they're right there. They're right off of Australia. Now, Aaron, you could swim from Tasmania to where Victoria is.
Wait, let me see. What kind of bullshit he's selling on this? Well, it's the state of Australia. No, this is still a really long. That's at least a couple. That's probably like I'll get 100 miles still. No, that's not. No, don't tell Aaron to just dive into the ocean and just start swimming in any direction like she's Tom Hanks.
Well, she's gonna know where to go. I mean, sure, I'll give her a compass. Go that way, Aaron.
Says I want to know, Brad, ask William about Lord Garth for Star Trek. Okay, William. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, say that again. Somebody just sent me something really crazy that I can't believe.
Yeah. I want to know, Brad, ask William about Lord Garth for Star Trek.
Lord Garth from Star Trek. Why don't I know that? That doesn't ring a bell. Lord Garth. I'm not going to claim to know something I don't know. I hate YouTubers that do that. Oh, this is way back. This is Garth of Azar. I haven't watched this episode since the very first time I watched Battle of Axanar. I'm just looking. You can look at other. I'm just.
Oh, and by the way, Anthony has kind of an interesting question. Say, William, being in the military like you have been as long as you have, a CQC mission of multiple martial arts disciplines. And he's asking, did you ever like learn any hand? Well, because my dad didn't either. They didn't really, as far as the Army, they didn't really. Well, I don't think really even the Army like is implemented like hand-to-hand fighting. It's more so that's more the Marines and more the Navy SEALs.
Not even the Marines, not even in Navy SEAls. I mean, they have it in their repertoire, but here's the thing, guys.
Well, they're not defaulting to like going in a war zone to hand.
If you're in the Army and you have to do the whole fixed bayonet or hand-to-hand combat, let's think about what that means.
Well, it means you drop your weapon or it's been taken or you're in a POW situation.
You probably ran out of ammo. What does that mean? That means you were shooting at more things than you had rounds to take out. Now,
or you're a horrible shot. I mean, that's also possible.
Let's assume that you're not. Now, you ran out of ammo. Unless you got lucky and you had as many bullets as you did enemy, which is probably not going to be the case, there's still some left, and they're probably still armed. And you're probably
they might run. Well, I mean, if they're shooting at you too, I mean, you think about this, like,
yeah, the likelihood of that being like, the hopeful case is nil. So yeah, if you don't have weaponry, you really don't have much. I mean, I know it looks cool and romantic, and there may be some guys who are really, really good. They could probably kill you, with their two fingers and none of that. But that's generally, we're the armed forces. We're not the samurai. We're not the ninjas from the old days where we throw down a thing of smoke and disappear and appear on a ceiling somewhere. Nah. The stuff that you see in movies for the most part is romanticized BS. Because you'll see guys running across fields and shit, and you'll see guys, jumping on the tanks and doing all crazy stuff. One of my pet peeves, and you guys will, if you watch enough of our watch-alongs, you don't move anything without air support in the Army, in the military. Literally, the Marines have their own air wings. The whole
Navy
point
has their own aviation wing.
The Marines, as a ground force, the majority of their mission, their Marine air element, is to close air support of the ground. The Air Force's budget, 25% of the Air Force budget, is to protect U.S. Army soldiers in another branch on the ground. That's why you'll never see the A-10 Warthog go away. Oh, we're going to retire that bullshit. You retire that, the Army's going to come up with their own fixed wing. So you're not going to retire that because that thing is cool. So yeah, but you see it on TV all the time where guys are like kicking down doors and they're firing a couple rounds and they're throwing the gun away and then they're ripping their shirt open and they're starting to fire. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Or like I said, they're running and covering and doing the Hollywood thing with the music in the background, hiding behind a Jeep or something that can't take the hit. No, that's not. It's actually quite boring. It's actually quite boring.
Yeah, and that's why they don't have air support in movies, because it would be boring if the air support does 90% of the heavy lifting. So.
Yeah, once you gain air superiority in most cases,
yeah, you've won at that point because
it's pretty much won. I mean, you have two cases: you have Afghanistan and you have Vietnam War. But Vietnam War was the will of the country; didn't want to push that because there were things we could have done in the Vietnam War that would have ended the Vietnam War. There are things that they could have done had they politically wanted to do so that could have ended the Vietnam War. A lot of it would have been, they didn't want to, antagonize China if they did certain things. The same reason why we stopped at the DMZ when it comes to Korea. That's why one of the reasons why MacArthur was relieved of command is because he wanted to go all the way through. He wanted to go against China. Truman was worried about a nuclear response because China was developing, and in all likelihood, I think the United States, China would have blinked, but that's just 80 years ago. But yeah, once you have air support or once you have air superiority, because the other guy can't move his assets, you can. The other guy has to hope that he can stick his head out of his hole and not have it taken off. Once you have air support, you can go where you need to go, and your ships aren't getting sunk down. I mean, one of the reasons for the Navy fighter pilots, they Top Gun, they're fighting other enemy aircraft, everything, but that's all part of their mission to protect the fleet. The primary mission of naval air is to protect the fleet. The Marines were brought into existence to be an onboard shipworthy asset, so that when pirates and other things would raid their ships, you had a fighting force already on the ship. So everything is for something else. Everything's for a reason. So yeah, when you see all this stuff that happens, and I'm saying that there aren't military guys who can't do all this stuff, but like I said, watch some of these documentaries, man. Watch some of this stuff. It's not as exciting, because we're not there to sell tickets. We're there to try to get an objective.
And we're there near, yeah. So, well, and I mean, there is the big one as far as hand to hand. The Marines they instituted a program called MCMAP, which is Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. But I'm going to read that out after you read this off Wikipedia, because again, it's very adapted to a war zone setting. And the program, which began in 2001, trains Marines and U.S. Navy personnel attached to Marine units in unarmed combat, edge weapons, weapons of opportunity, and rifle and bayonet techniques. So that tells you, right? Okay, so that right there was probably about that probably is about 30% maybe of unarmed, and then the rest is bayonets, knife combat, improvised weapons, things like that. So it's it's not the same thing as going to a dojo.
Which Navy SEALs, and for some of those guys may do that. There may be where they can't use, usually though they're using their sniper. They're using other tactics, because the closer you get, the more you risk being exposed. So, Spies Like Us did damage. Other than being a bad movie, is that I don't get what you mean. Yeah, okay. You know what's going to happen, Fourth? You'll look cool dying. That I can guarantee.
Just okay, but he was a conscientious, but he wasn't on the battlefield he wasn't. He was.
What are you talking about?
He's talking about the main character in that Andrew Garfield plays in at Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh.
He's the conscientious. He's the soldier who he served in World War II, and he was a Medal of Honor winner, but he was also a conscientious objector, and because he was a pacifist and he refused to carry a weapon. So he saved a lot of guys' lives. He was he's commended for that, but he never actually fired a weapon. And what he did was very heroic and very brave. But he wasn't going out
A lot of medics don't, and they're not allowed. You're not supposed to shoot at them either, because
but when bombs and bullets are flying all over the place, he wasn't going out there trying punching guys in the face. So.
No, you can listen. I know I've served with guys who were in the combat theater that were conscientious objectors. You could object to the point, but are they objecting to the point where they can't do their job? You may, the official status of conscientious objector, that gets you disqualified. But a lot of guys just objected to, a war, any particular war that's going on. But you know what? Yeah. They don't make the orders. So.
Yeah, that's right. That's actually really. I did really like Hacksaw Ridge. That was kind of seen as Mel Gibson's comeback after, of course, his period of controversy. That was his return to directing, and I did really like that quite a lot. It's probably one of my favorite war movies, is Hacksaw Ridge.
What do you think about Spies? I think I probably shouldn't say what I think should happen to spies on this. And yes, if a spy is effective, all effective spies do damage. One that's a sensitive. Listen, when you betray your country, you are putting people in harm's way. You don't know who you could be putting in harm's way. You don't know. There are spies like Aldrich Ames, Robert Hansen, and Johnny Walker. You got the famous spies that have done damage. Those guys, what they did led directly to American assets being killed. Whether it be intel assets that we had overseas getting found out by Russians, things like that. So every effective spy, and there's a difference between a spy and an agent. Now, when you say spy, I'm going to need to ask you this. Are you talking about like a spy, like a CIA officer or an officer of the KGB? Or are you talking about an agent, which is someone who gets turned against their country? Like Aldrich Ames, Robert Hansen, guys like that, John Walker Lynn, these guys like that. They were the people who turned them were the spies. They were agents. So, but either way, it's a traitor. If you are serving the United States in a defense capacity, and you turn and you give information, you provide aid and comfort to enemies of the United States and or their allies. The Universal Code of Military Justice has something for you if you're doing it as a government issue. And I am not a death penalty dude, but there are some exceptions, and that would be one of them, because you set in motion things that could damage anybody. I mean, every soldier and sailor and Marine and airman is put in danger when somebody flips and does that. So, like I said, I think spies do damage, but like I said, but you got to clarify, because there's, like I said, I know what you mean, I think, but there's a difference between a spy, which is basically like somebody who has diplomatic immunity, who could work in an embassy, and then the agent. If you're working as an agent for another country, then I have no sympathy for you. So next one.
Let's see. Thank you, Anthony. So, William, you agree with most hardcore military guys that's a close quarter combat is the last resort when you can't use conventional. Yeah, in a war zone when bombs and bullets are going. Yeah.
Even to that point, close quarter combat, you're still gonna have weapons. You're still gonna have. An M4 will work just fine in close quarters combat.
Yeah, like they put put it this way, it's like in like martial arts in a civilian setting, like you train to develop like the ability to like knock somebody out or tap somebody out or win the fight unarmed or through means like that. These guys, when they do hand to hand, they train to momentarily get the opponent off of them to get back to their weapon. That's their hand to hand fighting.
And in urban warfare, you have 360. You have it coming from all. You have snipers. You got all kinds of things happening around you. So yeah, using a conventional weapon, you're still going to use your M4. You're still going to use your 4. You're still going to use these things because you're not going in there. It's not a video game. You have to shoot the other guy in most cases. So
yeah. Terrible spy by a decent assassin. Yeah. Well, that's an odd question.
I don't have an actor whose face I hate.
Yeah.
I don't have one past.
Tarantino fight. We want to see William with his weapons.
I mean, first of all, I would avoid. Once you get into that mentality, things can get out of control.
Yeah.
But two, I would pull the gun and I would leave. I would be like, don't come anywhere, don't come near me. This is for anybody that I think that's kind of threat. Stay where you're at, and I get out of this situation. Nobody dies. It's doubtful that person, unless he's armed, is going to come at me, and I control the situation, whether I shoot him or not. And I'm not going. I get out of the situation. I get out of it. Once you've extracted yourself out of the situation, then you go a different.
That's even when you're not like armed. That's advisable.
That's when you should always do. Don't do this. Ego shit where you're trying to. Prove,
yeah, that's advisable. Even like in a civilian setting, it's like that's what we. That's what I would teach anybody. Yeah, de-escalate. I would teach anybody that in the dojo. Teach them and don't go any. Don't take it any further than you have to, or strike. Don't. It's the same as don't fight unless you have to, and then don't go. Once you've neutralized the threat that they pose, then it's like, okay, take yourself out of the situation. That's a mindset that like military and civilian setting would is anybody would tell you. So yeah.
Yeah, always de-escalate if you can. Get out of that situation.
Fun says William loses his weapon, uses Brad's body to stop the bolts like in Deadpool.
Nope. My biggest weapon is not getting into those situations and hoping that no one never gets to.
Yeah, my dad, he actually did karate for a while when he before I was born, and his sensei told him the same thing. It was like, if you can, keep yourself out of it. Get out of it, walk away from it if you can. And his teacher. He told me his teacher had a story where he was at a bar or something, and this guy was like really trying to piss in his cornflakes and like you're in my seat or something like that. And he just said, okay. He walked off. It took him, recused himself from that situation, even though again by what he's told me about this guy, he really could have done him in if he wanted to.
Yeah, but you have to think 5 steps beyond that too, because now what does that entail? What does that lead to?
Yeah.
What is that cannibalism? None of these, but I would say Jason Bourne is more realistic.
Yeah.
The stuff that happens in Mission Impossible is borderline just crazy.
Well, James Bond, it depends on what iteration of James Bond I think you're talking about too, whether it's Connery or Moore or whatnot. And Mission Impossible, I love the series, but yeah, I mean it's definitely in a world with that works that doesn't work the same way as ours, and kind of the same way with James Bond. Yeah, Bourne is probably, as far as like fictional like cinematic spies or assassins, he's probably the closest to like a real real world example.
Stop spamming, Anthony. Bourne is more, Bourne is more reliant on that whole close quarters fighting thing that you might do as a spy.
And even that, like, look at the movies. Like, you notice how every Bourne movie, and I like that they do this, but every Bourne movie that they always the fight scenes, like they have like a whole bunch of fight scenes. Like most of them they last that long, and they have one fight scene where he has one opponent who has like commensurate skills with Bourne, then they really make a big like a show stopping action scene out of that, because again that's the point where it's like, okay, if our fight scenes are just nothing but if they just go like that, then it's not, there's not a lot of entertainment value in that, but so they got to have
camera angles and all that too,
so you got to have at least one that really is elongated and you really like get your money's worth out of it on that. But every fight scene in Bourne is against the same way I would tell him, but it's like he takes them out as quickly as he can. It's like he ends it as quickly as he can, and they all it's like it's snapping your fingers. They're just over the blink of an eye.
Yeah, most of these things movies in general depict are boring. Most of the things that movies depict, whether it be the spy game or thing in real life, they're boring. You would not pay to see a real military operation. You would not pay to see it unless you were really heavily into that shit. That would bore you to tears. It's a lot of us sitting around in deployment and all that kind of stuff. Even the guys who I know that were in Vietnam, we're not, not everything is Hamburger Hill. Things went on like that, but the procedures and the pace and the length of the battles and the spurts here and there, these aren't things that would get you to buy popcorn and a ticket. So they condense all that stuff. They compress all that stuff into something that is digestible for you and entertainment-wise, which I'm okay with. But it's like, none of that stuff is like they're, MI6 and MI5. Yeah, they operate on the fringes, but they're not, they don't have a plane in their suitcase type of situation. Most of the stuff is boring intel, and all the spy stuff. Most of spy work, for the most part, is intelligence gathering.
Yeah, just bugging phones and things like that.
The NSA, things like that, listening. A lot of the intel that spy and CIA and all these other people gather is stuff that's out in the open. But because they know certain other things, they're able to put that together and make an assessment to advise government and people like that. That's pretty much what they are. I mean, we hear the CIA, you think it's and yes, they do have an offensive capability, but the majority of their budget and what they do is intel gathering and disrupting things and disrupting activities that might harm America and its allies. So I think people, if they actually rode shotgun with a lot of this stuff, they would be bored. Yeah, there's some action there, but it's not, it's not all wrapped up in a bow in a 2-hour format for you to watch or 8 episodes.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, they're just not. I mean, it's boring. Even they'll tell you it's boring work. You know, most of the people that James Bond is actually based off of an OSS guy, an Office of Strategic Service, the precursor to MI6 and the CIA, and then they have different ones. But he wasn't doing the crazy shit.
I remember they actually. I'm looking. I'm trying to remember what this was. I'm trying to look it up right now. There was a it was a military movie that came out, I think, like in 2012. That was actually marketed on the idea that they had like actual like Navy SEALs or actual Marine guys in it, and it was supposed. And I didn't like it at all because it was supposed to like sort of put you in the feel of like this is like a being in the middle of a real war zone. It's kind of like William said. It's like it's not. It removes a lot of kind of like the fireworks of it that you sort of expect. It really it was not wasn't for me because it was
a lot of it I've heard from guys that there's a lot of it laying it around with binoculars, keeping an eye on things and planning. A lot of it's the planning that they do to hit, like Bin Laden. That was months of planning once they found that out, and then it was real quick. What you saw in Zero Dark 30 was pretty much probably how it went down. And if it wasn't for the fact that we were hunting down the boogeyman and killing him, that would have been something else that people
Act of Valor. That's what it was. Act of Valor.
I heard about that movie.
Yeah, I saw that. That one didn't impress me. And again, it wasn't because it was like technically deficient or anything. It was just
it's not entertaining. Those guys aren't there to entertain you. So
exactly. So it's like
they're there to
you got
some other stuff.
It's kind of like what you say is like you put somebody who's not qualified in the wrong job, they're not going to succeed. It's not their fault. Yeah, these guys, they're trained to be Marines. They're not trained to be they're not trained to be entertainers. So
yeah, I mean, if it bored you, that's what life is in these type of military situations. It's not Hollywood. Hollywood is there to entertain you, and they depict the military the best that they can. In order to get you to buy a ticket. But like I said, you're not going to buy a ticket with the majority of goes on in the military and in defense and anything else like that. It's just not. It's just work. It's like, is your work exciting? And for most people, it's not. So it's the same thing with yeah, but their main thing is going to be actors are not what they are. I mean, they were the real deal, but like I said, the real deal is not necessarily the most.
They're the real deal removed from the real circumstance, and that.
Yeah. You want to see a Navy SEAL, an actor type of situation. Look at the movie Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen jumping off of the vehicle, the back of a truck, into over the San Francisco Bridge or some crazy shit like that. I mean, still, Zero Dark 30 was from the people that actually they were talking to them. So. Let's see. Out of all those people, I believe that Tupac, Epstein's dead. Yeah, Epstein's dead. But Tupac, if Tupac comes out with another hit album, I'd be like, hey, listen, dude, that's like, let me do the math here.
Yeah, he's definitely he's unusually posthumously active. Let's say.
Yeah. That's why they claimed. They claimed they buried him by Muslim customs, and they buried him in the ocean because they did not want to give him a monument for his supporters to rally around. They didn't want a memorial. Why are people texting me? Wow, late birthday wishes. Hey, you're only 24 hours late.
Music Man says, everyone I saw Bailey and Mercedes as I was walking to work, I meant to get Bailey's autograph and congratulate her on fighting Nia, but I didn't get to. I was in a hurry.
Yeah, they're best friends. I wouldn't be surprised if Bailey wasn't there last night in Chicago. She might have been probably. That match, that was her best AEW match, by the way. I really enjoyed that match. I woke up this morning and just didn't know how I should feel about All Out last night.
Yeah, I saw clips from it. It's like, my God, that was like
like I said, they used the needle.
Yeah, I'm not a needle guy.
In his mouth, and I'm like, what are you doing? Or is that what does it mean? And then they were bouncing each other's backs and spine off of a very real cinder block. Not a hollowed out something that could, break when you hit it, because it wasn't breaking. Those were 200-pound mans dropping each other and power bombing each other on this thing, and it wasn't breaking, which means concrete don't give, flesh and bone does. And you could see the whelps on their back, and I'm like, okay, well, at some point, if I tell you I'm entertained, will you stop? Because that was like, what the fuck is next? I was literally waiting for Stan Hansen and Cactus Jack and maybe Terry Funk to be resurrected to come from under the ring and say, what could we add here? I mean, that match was just kind of disgusting. And then the previous matches were, like I said, the Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander matches. And those are some big women, by the way. And they're tossing each other in the tables and thumbtacks. And I thought, okay, they're fake thumbtacks. I'm looking at Chris Statlander's back. I'm like, no, those are real little holes in her back. And she's being power bombed and power slammed into those. And she's bleeding on that mat. And there's people who had to go wrestle after that. So after all this, you got 2 matches where people bled in the ring, like for real, and then people rolled in there. Let's go wrestle. Like, last night was quite violent. But that main event was like something like, I'm like, what are you doing? And like I said, every time they went to that bag, I'm like, oh shit, what are they gonna pull out? Are you gonna pull out a chainsaw? Like, they're every pay-per-view they're saying like, we got to outdo that. I was here in Las Vegas at T-Mobile where Darby Allin legit set a man on fire. I was in the building. This man, it was planned. They had, the Young Bucks were there with the fire, and you could clearly tell it was a gimmick. But still, whenever you set somebody on fire under any circumstances, you run a huge risk of things not going right. And he was trying to do it again. He bought the flamethrower to another show, and I'm like, okay. So, and then Darby Allin is legit crazy. He like did the coffin drop off of a cage that was high as fuck onto the table. And one of them, he hit a glass. They had glass. I don't know why. They had real glass in one of these matches. Darby Allin hit it and exploded. And I'm like, oh my God. And it wasn't nothing to break his fall. He just hit the ground. And in the ground, the glass was poof. And I'm like, oh fuck. So yeah, I think there needs to be a meeting to be like, listen, guys, maybe we need to talk about some of these things. So some of these guys are ad-libbing. They're doing it with each other, but they're not necessarily. I don't think Tony Khan is like, because I think Tony Khan last night, I don't know if he booked that main event, but he didn't. He looked like, he was in much shock as I was.
Oh, by the way, I thought because we were talking a little about it the other night about Jay Oliva, had kind of a bit of a Twitter exchange regarding, the business and streaming.
Yeah, I got out of it because it got ugly. It devolved into name calling.
Well, somebody, I'm gonna. There's something he kind of added to that. I'm gonna get into like the guy he was going back and forth with.
I'm surprised he gave that guy that much time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jay, he's known for A, clapping back, and B, being a straight shooter. But he there's one thing he did mention. I thought I wanted to go ahead and add without getting into like the whole back and forth of it, but this I think William would definitely find very spot on, or very like Jay, like giving people like the reality of the business and way that a lot of people are just kind of burying their heads in the sand on. He says, to be fair, most, if not all, the big films were from which studios? Studios that have streaming services or have deals with streamers. A film may be produced for theatrical for debut, but you can bet your ass it's going to be live on a streaming platform. And after that, it's double dip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what we've said on the show here a lot of times. That even stuff that does pretty well, that does like normal well, not like end game level well, or like that they'll want to try to keep out in theaters as long as they can. But that's like an anomalous situation. But anything that's a success on like a normally expected scale these days, even that, it's like that'll be on streaming within a month now. Because you make the bulk of theatrical revenue within the first 10 days.
William, where can I watch the AEW pay-per-view? I watched it on Bleacher Report. Yeah. Cactus Jack should have been proud. Amazing stuff.
Fire. Quoting some Butthead there, aren't you? Or Beavis. I can never remember.
Beavis is the blonde, I think.
Yeah, Beavis is.
I stopped. I haven't watched. Like I said, the last time I watched anything remotely related to Beavis and Butthead was a Saturday Night Live skit.
Oh yeah, and that one is
So Heidi Gardner.
that one. So because that's the one. I think it was Ryan Gosling was Beavis, and I forget who it was. It was Butthead.
Mikey Day was Butthead.
Yeah, and she they're it's sort of a town hall kind of thing about the election or something like that.
No, it's about AI.
Oh, it's about AI. Okay, and they got these two dudes who look like Beavis and Butthead in the audience, and they're totally oblivious to the fact they look like Beavis and Butthead. But they're
I've heard rumblings that it looked like this Butthead, but
and Keenan Thompson, he's on one side, he's completely distracted, and he's saying, "Hey, can we do something about this here?" And she turns around at one point, and she just can't keep it together. It's obvious they didn't show her what the makeup looked like beforehand because she
still could handle
she
it.
sees it go and just breaks character. It takes like 15 seconds before she can get back into it.
How would I feel? I'd feel bad because I think Hogan is bad for wrestling at this point. I think Hogan has had his time. Every time you see him again, something awful that he said or done has come out. I just think it's time for him to go away. If they are ever going to make one, it would be with those two dudes from Saturday Night Live.
A live action Beavis about it, yeah, because that's really. I look at it right now. That's really good makeup they did, and that's the funniest SNL sketch I've seen in a really long time.
How you doing, Larry? What's going on? Yes, hit the like and subscribe button, people. Yay! Are we past? Did we ever get past 1100?
Look at that.
I know it doesn't update worth of shit, but
yeah. Is there like a delay on the update?
Yeah, we're still at 1.09, but when you go into YouTube Studios, we're at 1103 or some shit. I don't know.
Okay. Does it do that with views on the video on the stream?
Yeah, because like I said, right last night, the views that YouTube gave us credit for. Vince, you're in the chat. Hey, do me a favor, dude. How can we get YouTube credit for those?
For the Twitter, anybody watches through Twitter, because we had over 350 people watching through Twitter last night.
Yeah, I think that's kind of aggravated. I mean, not aggravated. I'm grateful, but still, it's like, damn, dude. I mean, I know all those people aren't subscribers, but they like the show, and I'm like, I'm telling you guys right now, if you're watching me, you're probably listening to me, and all you need to do right now, look at the screen. I want you to look at the screen, and I want you to take your phone, and I want you to scan that. Scan that right there. Right there. Scan this. Right? Scan it, and it takes you where you need to be. You click on the bell. You click on subscribe. Then if you still want to listen to me on YouTube, that's fine. But, I would prefer you listen to me here. Because as goofy as YouTube is, its business platform is directly connected to us. Twitter isn't. I mean, I wish YouTube had the Twitter's alert function, because it would be damn good.
By the way, we said, by the way, I don't think I said hi to you, Ray, when I saw you in the chat. So hello, Ray. My apologies.
Totally disregarded, Ray.
I'm
verified, but I don't have 1 million impressions, and I doubt I ever will. I mean,
you should have been there for the one of the watch parties today, Ray. I'll leave it to everybody to infer which that is, and it definitely wasn't the first one. Any one-liners out of it.
That's the movie. I don't know.
That's the movie that actually was that was actually had artistic merit and had amazing action scenes and had compelling performances and a strong story and actual.
Hey, what if you're just a buffoonery guy and you don't like kung fu? Then
the disaster movie is not you're gonna fill that void.
Oh, I thought it felt the buffoonery void just fine.
No, it's not. No, it doesn't even rise to the level of buffoonery. It's that's just I only.
Why is Droga saying hi to himself?
Lack of discipline is what that is. Droga, you're saying hello to yourself? Okay, sounds good, Larry. Yeah, and I think, by the way, thank you for recommending The Signal last night, because we did definitely enjoy that.
No more Batman parodies. All right, so we're about to wrap this up because I still want to go out and get like a decent meal today.
Oh, Kung Pao under this. Yeah, that is a. That's a And what they did with that, they took an old like Hong Kong martial arts film, but it was like one that had kind of like fallen through the cracks, and so there was it was really degraded. It wasn't like readily available, and so it was really degraded. And so what they did, they used the footage from that, and they filmed like scenes of Steve Odenkirk to fill out the full narrative, but they supplemented that with this actual Hong Kong movie 76. So it's kind of it's a little bit of a different thing they did, and it's really funny too. Get the DVD. It's like they have the because they do it as if it's dubbed, but they have also the track of like what they're really saying because the dialogue he'd say just jabber nonsense on set, and then they would dub it over so his lips would match what he was saying, so it would be like an actual dub. But go back and watch the what they're really saying track, because that's actually very funny. Thank you for the super chat fourth, William. We're doing Comic Book Master Theater where we pre-record our voices to a comic book character and string it together like a movie. Not quite sure you're getting it there.
You mean like a read along? Can you clarify, William? When are you doing Comic Book Master Theater? I mean, I know what Master Theater is. That'd be a lot of work. I don't know, Fourth. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. What is Rhea saying? I don't know. I got some questionable suspects in the chat, too.
Well, William said we're going to wrap it up soon anyway.
Plus, I'm starving.
Yeah. Well, there's a burger place. Might be,
Were you guys shocked at the signal ending? You can keep me. No, it's not just you. It's just I'm tired. Like I said, it's been a wild weekend, and I'm hungry. And like I said, I want to actually eat some food that's not the desperation freezer food that I have to rely on when everything else is closed. So. All right, well, that's it. Anything else? You got anything else, Brad?
Yeah. I got my watch party today that was denied by Mother Nature a few weeks ago. So, and that'll be up in perpetuity for all eternity on this channel.
Till I delete it.
No, hell, that will not happen. I will take legal action if that happens.
Oh, okay. Panda Express. I like Panda Express, but I need more food than what they're willing to give me, and plus they're closed. And I'm not eating ramen. The whole point of me going out and getting some real food is so I don't have to eat ramen, unless I'm eating like the legit ramen, like Vietnamese noodle, things like that, which I don't think I'm going to do today.
So I don't know. Do we have any as far as like when we do watch parties? Because I don't think we set anything in stone for like watch parties like beyond this weekend. We're definitely going to do some for Twilight of the Gods when that comes out on in about a week and a half here. But I don't know. Yeah, anything and actually, really, now that I think about it, what is like sci-fi that's coming out theatrically before the year is out, or horror fantasy that's coming out before the year is out?
We got Nosferatu's coming out on Christmas Day. I got to look. We got Transformers 1 coming out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And
by the way, also, I suppose like we could list superheroes within that genre list, but I mean, it's a legit genre.
Well, superheroes are a given for me.
Also like I mean, it's inherently predicated on sci-fi, fantasy, and occasionally horror. So kind of overlaps there. But trying to think like what. It's there's no Star Wars. I don't think there's any more Star Wars. Even the shows. We wrapped up for the shows for the rest of this year. Terrifier 3. I know Ruth can't wait for that. Spinal 2. I'm actually looking forward to. Venom: Last Dance. Got
we can put all that now.
Gladiator 2. I know we're definitely going to be giving our thoughts on, but that's more so. Well,
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to do a watch party for Gladiator because I don't think my audience will go.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think our audience likes Gladiator? Come on.
Our immediate audience that watches live with us will, but the overall audience is they're looking for science fiction and horror.
Yeah.
If you look at our numbers, on the watch party. Look what ones do really sky high. I mean, like do phenomenal.
I think our biggest one so far has been Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2, but if you look at them, let's look real quick.
And it's ironic too with Gladiator because it's like if they had gone with the original idea for Gladiator 2, that would have become sci-fi.
Terminator was a hit.
Yeah, I knew that was going to do well. I knew that was really going to do well.
Terminator 0 was a hit. The Crow was a hit. Let's see.
Actually, you've been kind of a defender of Terminator 3 on here for a while. Do you want to do one of that at some point?
Probably should have did that one on Judgment Day, but I guess we could. We did Catwoman. Catwoman didn't do too well.
God. Well,
Kill Bill.
Kill
Bill was a borderline one because it was fantastical bullshit, but that one did well. But it's like the some of the other ones are, we did okay, but we didn't do spectacular. It just looks like the audience, Starship Troopers. The audience wants to see, like I said, Spider-Man 2, 700 views on that one. Total Recall 300. So you can kind of see what they kind of They Live kind of did all right.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah,
Invasion of the Body Snatchers is one I think we should do.
Oh, really? Like the
1977.
There's a few of them.
Yeah, not Body Snatchers, not that horrible Nicole Kidman one. But
I remember seeing that in the video store when I was a kid. That cover freaked me the hell out with like the split face and yeah.
No, we get okay. So how it works out is AdSense. It's if they run ads through your videos, and then it correlates on that. Vince is probably going to know more about that. I have it in front of me most of the time, but I don't even understand it. And because like I said, you get different types of ads that ran through. So mostly our revenue so far has been super chats. We do have some ad revenue, but most of my lives. I have to manually monetize those, and then if there's stuff in there that they don't like, then they get demonetized. So, because some of our panel people say some stupid shit, and and there you go. That's a little dollar sign crossed out. So yeah, that's another thing that if we want to get to that level, we're just going to have to literally we'll consist of changing the shows, but it's like it's watch time and how many views you get with their ads. So I guess if you get like 1,000 views on something that they've monetized, then you get a percentage of that based on the proportionate amount of views. So if you're a low man on the totem pole and you get like 100 views, you're going to get them, you're not going to get very much. But if you're getting 3, 4, 5, 6,000 views, you're probably going to get something a little bit different. And it's consistency too. So that's like, like Campy and all those guys, they're constantly drawing, thousands and thousands and thousands of views a day and have 350,000 followers. Those guys are going to get a lot of ads ran on their stuff. So right now it's kind of minuscule with us. Super chats are still the big backbone of the whole financial structure of the show. But at some point, if we keep going this way, we will get that frequency will reward us. But just now it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, Omega Swiper's got the perfect solution.
She's always welcome to come on.
Oh, yeah. That's why I can't do the lives and then cuts up. Yeah. The more videos, the better, depending on the content. Yeah. Yeah, he could make a living entirely off of his super chats.
Yeah, he has to shut them down. Yeah, he has to actually stop accepting money because he can't. He doesn't have enough time to answer all the questions. So he doesn't want to take people's money and not be able to answer their question within due time.
Oh, really, Omega Swiper? Because I've seen Campia
that guy.
He can really, he's had some meltdowns. So.
Yeah, and you can tell that you don't necessarily get demonetized for cussing, or he doesn't care because he cusses. I know for us, a small channel like ours, it's a lot easier to hit us and affect us because we don't have that, that
the one I really loved, the one that really made me laugh that he did a while back. It was when Black Widow was coming out, and Steven Dorff gave an interview where he talked about, it's like, oh yeah, I think comic movies are shit, and I feel bad for Scarlett Johansson, and Campea just lit him up on that video, and he pointed out, obviously, Steven Dorff, like, his biggest claim to fame is Blade. I mean, he just went for like 15 minutes.
He went after Martin Scorsese too when he came.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but we've talked about that on here too. It was obviously we're definitely not of Scorsese's perspective on that, but also we do it in a way that's like also respecting the fact that Scorsese obviously is like Scorsese, but can't be. My God, he really went off. You should look. Have you seen that video? Look that up sometime.
Yeah, I was watching live.
Yeah, that was like he just really had a conniption.
His Transformers, the movie one, was hilarious though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was before he got big. That was when Transformers 2, I think.
When he went off on Transformers because he was around the same age, roughly within the same wheelhouse as me when we went to go see that movie back in '86. And he's like, "Thank you for fucking up my childhood." And he's like, "This is with my wife," and at the time, Anne worked for Hasbro at the time. Yeah. So he's like, half of my household income comes from Hasbro. Fuck you. So yeah, I watch him on a daily basis. I mean, I like the guy's layout. I like the way he makes things look. I don't always agree with him, but I love his presentation.
Oh, I know William definitely. I've seen like most of Campea's DC related videos. Like anytime Campea talks about DC rebooting, it's like I know William's like somewhere just.
I think he's wrong. I've actually been in chats, and I think you're wrong. I think the only problem I have with John Campea is he comes from a film pundit and perspective that I don't think, even though he says it does, can always reflect the Joe average all the time. I mean, we look at things differently. It's easy, to say blow things up when you don't. It's just different. So I like the guy. I respect him and Robert Meyer Burnett. Meyer Burnett. I've had Robert Meyer Burnett on his show.
It's easy not to see the forest for the trees on that with what you're talking about as far as like just blow it all up
or not be able to appreciate us down, that are not, in on it. So,
but really,
all right, guys,
look at that Steven Dorff one, guys, because that's probably that one really made me laugh.
That is it for this week. That is it for September 3rd, all the way up to September 8th today, or whatever the fuck we started on. We've streamed a lot this week. Hope you guys have enjoyed the comment. Thank you for all the birthday wishes and consent, and for those of you who sent me like tons of Starbucks cards, thank you. I'm about to partake in some of this free food that I got. Gift cards are the greatest invention since the nuclear reactor, as far as I'm concerned, because it allows me to take your intent and go all the way with it. So we will be off tomorrow unless something spectacular breaks, which I doubt and hope it doesn't, because I do enjoy just being able to come home and watch wrestling and news and everything else and kick back. So I will
we'll see you guys on
Tuesday, unless like I said, something comes up. I got some shorts I'm working on, but I don't know when those are going to hit. So hey, after Wednesday, you're living in Vegas, like to count. We only need to count to 2 when it comes to the temperature. You think I'm not going to celebrate that shit? You're wrong. We got 2 celebrations coming up. That
and daylight savings time.
And daylight savings. And the fact that, knock on wood, that I'm not getting deluged every weekend with water damage. Other than that, I will see you guys Tuesday evening. Bye.
Later, guys.